Good afternoon, officially. We'll try that again. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right. The mayor over here said, I see you're on the program speaking today. And I said, I just recognized that myself. But that is not true. A few weeks ago, you can see, I have people come to me all the time and tell me I'm not a salesperson. I'm constantly trying to get my staff to move into our sales department once they become very knowledgeable about our product. And I'm not sales, but everyone is sales. I don't care what you do. You have to sell something today to get to tomorrow. And Steve is one of the best salespersons I've come across because it started out very nonchalantly. We have to get you over, want to get you active within the chamber. I'm up for it. That activity, sort of catapulted to a board seat. While we're in that discussion, no problem. He's like, you really should speak at one of our luncheons this year. And I said, no problem. Sooner or later we can do that. And he said, well, send me some information. I'm going to get back to you, and we'll get you on the program. That became 2 weeks from the time that I sent him information. So there was a time where I was sitting in a room similar to this, and I had my oldest son with me, and he looked down at the program and said, Dad, you're supposed to be speaking. And I had no clue. And it was a teaching moment for me as I'm, obviously sweating under my suit. And I told him, just be prepared, know your audience, never worry if you're in one of these situations. It's similar to the story I'm sure some of you heard about. The missionary was traveling in Africa, and he took a wrong turn in the jungle and found himself being chased by a lion. So he's running for a few minutes and decides this is not going to work out well. So he falls down on his knees and he starts to pray. And he looks back at the lion, and he knows the lion was also on his knees. And he said to the lion, I didn't realize lions prayed. And he said, sure we do. I'm thanking God right now for the food that I'm about to receive, for the nourishment of my body. Being prepared is something comes in many different forms. And so when Steve asked me to talk sort of about my travels and becoming a small business person, I had really no problem with this topic because it's something that I have prepared a long time for. I had no clue when I was in high school, when I was in college. I can say even now what I'm going to be doing 5 years from now. I just leave it open. I was taught by two parents who will be married 50 years in a couple of months to just, follow your dreams, do what you need to do, but stick to your core, whatever that is, be it your beliefs, be it your education, etc. And so my path to entrepreneurism really came with not knowing anything. Went into college not knowing how difficult that was going to be. Went into college not knowing, as much as I love playing basketball, and I'm sure the mayor can attest, it's a full-time job. And I realized quickly, I don't like basketball this much, when you're spending, 4 to 8 hours on the court and training every day. But my first college basketball game I played in, we're playing up in the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, and never been hurt a day in my life. Go up for a rebound, come down. My own player was a 6'11", 320-pound black Canadian, if that makes it any better. Crashes on my knee, tore out, blew out my right knee, all my ligaments. And so I'm coming home for Christmas break, and my mom's reminding me about all those scholarship offers I turned down in order to play in the Ivy League, how important this education is going to become. My senior year in college, I blew out all the ligaments in my left knee in my prime, playing right before our regular season. And at that point, I started interviewing and realizing, okay, now it's time to focus. Came home. I had a job. I was dating my college sweetheart, who's my wife now, and I was going to work in New Jersey. She was living in New York, so it was perfect. And my job graduated in May, my job started in September-ish. So, what a lovely life. You know, life is good. You're living at home, eating mom's cooking, still driving dad's car, road tripping every other night. And one time I didn't quite make it to my bedroom, and my dad taps me on the shoulder. He retired from Lubrizol after 40 years, and he says, "Son, it's time to get a job." And I'm looking up at him, you know, on the living room couch. And I said, "I have a job." He was like, "You're not going to make it till September." So he gets on the phone, literally, and it's about being connected, the story of my life, but certainly this presentation. Gets on the phone, makes a phone call, and in 5 minutes, he tells me, "Go to the mall, grab a suit. You've got an interview on Monday with Fifth Third Bank." I'm like, cool. I had no finance. I'm horrible with math. I'm going to tank this one, no problem. You know, I can be myself with this interview, you know, and have no problem. And so I walk into the bank on a Monday, and many of you might know Donald Graham, who recently retired from Fifth Third. He started Fifth Third Bank in Cleveland. They were just starting in Cleveland. He came up from Cincinnati. He was a former basketball player at Youngstown State, and currently a good friend and mentor. But Don walked me into a few offices, and he said, "Hey, this job is only yours to lose today." And I'm like, geez, well, how do I lose this thing? Because I do not want to work for a bank. So this was Monday. On Tuesday, I'm walking into the bank with a briefcase and a blue suit saying, "What just happened?" So my first paycheck, I fly to New York, propose, and my career has started, not wanting to be a banker. And I used to tell everyone at the bank, except for my boss, that I didn't want to be a banker. And the moral of the story is you really have to speak whatever that is that's sort of in your soul, whatever that is that's driving you. And I did that, maybe to a fault, but I still have guys I work with say, "Man, you always said this wasn't for you." And I said it in a respectful way because I was the #1 banker in town at the time. I opened about 6 offices for Fifth Third. I managed our headquarters. They wanted to start a small business group, and I was the first VP in retail. They started the small business group. I was the first small business lender. One day they bought a bank and said, "We need to start a cash vault." And they called me and said, "Terrell, you need to start a cash vault." This was Thursday. Monday. And so I flew down, checked out our Kentucky office, drove down or up to Toledo and saw how they were doing, went over to Bank One, and you know, they're all in sort of the New Jack City, you know, white suits and, you know, security cameras, et cetera. And the bank took me to the side and they showed me a little room. This is going to be our cash vault. We have to start counting our own cash. Cincinnati doesn't want to take it. It's too much. And so no problem. We didn't even have cash counters at the time, to let you know how conservative of a bank, which I do appreciate today, Fifth Third was. And so I have 3 women counting cash all day. And I would walk into this room and there would be a mound of cash, several $1 million. And I would literally start shaking like, man. And I'd walk out of the room. About a month into that venture, we ordered security cameras, and we're trying to figure out where in the bank we can put a vault. We had no options, and about $20,000 came up missing. And so at this time, the FBI was 2 doors down from Fifth Third Bank on 9th Street. And those gentlemen came over and they're interviewing all my staff, and I knew I didn't take it, so I like to talk and experience this. You know, for me, it's all about experience, so, you know, can we talk? They never questioned me. My biggest problem in that journey, I'm going somewhere, Steve. So my biggest problem in that journey was I had just bought a new car. And so I'm pulling into the bank with a brand new car a day after 20 grand is missing. you know, and I'm hoping they realize, you know, I'm not that stupid. So my staff was questioned. They were all marched down to the FBI. My assistant was promoted to the West Side. They revisited him on the West Side, still didn't even question me. So at this point, I was like, man, there's only 2 of us who had keys. And I'm like, wow, they're all over me right now, you know. And long story short, one of my employees' boyfriends got into some trouble. She was 18, 19. She took the money, posted bail. He jumped bail and didn't have time to get the money back. And one thing I told her when I was letting her go is, you know, this is as much as my doing and my responsibility and my mistake as it was yours. Don't let this define your life. I have to let you go today. You don't get any of those other perks that we were talking about, but at the end of the day, let this be a learning experience. I don't know what came about. She was in college, and I had another gentleman who was in college. He did the same thing, took a money order and filled it out for his friend who was buying a new car. And they were both, you know, young. But my point is, she had no business being in a room with that much temptation. I remember how fearful I was walking into that room, and so none of us know what those limits are before we speed. You know, those limits are before we, you know, have to do something to break the law. And so that was a learning experience for me as much as it was for her. Number 2, solidifying the fact that this is not my thing, you know. And number 2, that I have to keep looking. So I'm giving a loan to a gentleman who's actually a college professor now, but at the time he worked for CBS TV locally. And I'm giving him a loan. He bought he bought the subway that's in Solon. I'm looking at his financials and his tax returns, and I'm like, man, where do you work? I need to come do it, whatever you do. And he said, I can get you an interview. And I'm like, hey, I'll take an interview. 2 weeks later, I'm working at Channel 19 and have no clue about television. I was not advertising exec or experienced in sales. But I realized the importance of relationships, and I developed many of them while I was at the bank. Within 2 years, I became the station's, actually, to this date, I sold more television in 1 year than anyone in the history of Cleveland television, because I didn't know what I was doing. And so I didn't know any better. And they were starting a website, and they were saying, hey guys, we need 10 grand for this website, and you can put your client can put their name all over it, and when they click on the Channel 19 or 43 on the website, their banner's gonna be floating and their car's gonna be moving, and all this new stuff. This was 97-ish, so you know, the web wasn't anywhere where it is today. And so I went to some of my clients from the bank, and I said, you guys want to sponsor a website? And they, sure, how much? And I said, 100 grand to get you, you know, you're gonna own the station. You know, sure, we'll do that. So I went back to my boss, said, and I got the website sold, and my wife can attest. They said, Terrell, we can't pay you that much money. We got commission on everything. And they're like, we can't pay you that much money. We got to call down to Alabama. You know, we only need 10 grand. I said, well, figure out what you want to do with the other 90. I have it. And these folks want a return on their investment, and I'm going to make sure they get it. True story, one of my clients today, but we became friends when I was at the station. They're a local supply house. Well, I can say Willoughby Supply, so they're a roofing contractor. And we became very good friends, and to this day, they always thank me because most people never even walked into their office selling advertising, because it's not, usually it's the car dealers, the furniture store, you know, going out of business for the 3rd time. Those types of advertisers are typical. But I was always just outside the box because I didn't know any better, and it was more like that athletic mentality that I enjoyed, the challenge, et cetera. And so while I'm at Channel 19, and my first son is born, and now I think my second is born. I'm realizing, this is just not for me. You know, every Cavs game, this is before LeBron, so I mean, I know some of it sounds okay, but before LeBron, going to every Cavs game was kind of brutal, as it has been since. Every Indians game, and it was just not what I wanted to do, but my relationships kept me moving. My very first client at the television station was Bonnie Speed Delivery. And Bonnie Speed Delivery, two gentlemen, and I would take them out to lunch regularly, and I would tell them, you know, I just need to own my own business one day. And they were like, hey man, you're doing the right thing. You're getting sort of that pseudo MBA. You have some finance, now you're in advertising. Every time I saw them, I'm like, you know, have you found any companies for me to buy yet? You know, I have a little money, I'm looking to do something. And they were like, nope. One day they called me into their office and said, listen, we want to give you a piece of the pie, kick the tires, see if you like this business. You don't have to like, hey, transportation? I can do transportation. Bonnie Speed is a transportation company. And so I went to Bonnie Speed, and I was there for a couple years and did well there. And but my juices were still flowing. 9/11 happened. And I had both family members affected by it. My wife's from New York, and she didn't know where her mom was in 9/11. Her brother worked in the towers. Her best friend worked in the towers. Luckily, they both came out okay. And our business was sort of slowing down. We used to be able to pull up a Bonnie Speed, in case you guys don't know, is a courier service locally, and we used to be able to pull up in front of the BP building with a dock high truck, unmarked, run inside, leave the engine running, make some deliveries, come back out, keep going. We used to be able to ride a car up in front of the bank, leave the keys in it with it running. And right after 9/11, I mean, our business, you had to check in at the BP tower, you needed security clearance, you had to go through security, you had to take the package up, no longer park out front, so we had to hire some runners to just run packages around town. At that same time, someone called and said, would you like to own would you like to purchase a franchise? And I was like, no, I'm fine, but send me the information, and if I come across anyone, I'll let you know. They sent me the packet. 2 weeks later, I had bought JamPro, left Bonnie Speed about a month later, and this year we're celebrating 10 years in business. Moral of the story is just keep doing what you do. You know, I don't have any magic potion or secret to the formula, but for me it's about providing for my family, about constantly learning, and staying active. They say when you start slowing down, the next step is death, you know, so we want to keep it moving. JamPro currently is the world's #1 home-based franchise that's coming out. We'll be on the cover of Entrepreneur magazine, I think, next month. We've sold more franchises globally than any other franchise system. We have some phenomenal franchise owners, both locally and around the country. We just got back from our national meeting in Orlando, and one of the stories, how am I doing on time? You good? Okay, good. One of the, for the first time ever, JamPro, we always convene master owners once a year just to talk about issues, et cetera, and we always have awards in between, between our group. And so this year, our CEO, who is a very dynamic guy, he actually was Dave Thomas, who started Wendy's. He was his right-hand man in Ohio. He started Sylvan Learning Centers, Velocity Sports Fitness franchise. I'm missing Alpha Graphics. He was the CEO there. So just a very dynamic guy, and also ran the #1 largest cleaning company in the world for years before coming and joining JamPro. And he said, you know what, we really have to, at some point, recognize the work that our front line is doing every day. And this was, music to my ears, because all of my travels from banking to the station, it was about the relationship. And we sell franchises here in Cleveland for the last 10 years. We've sold probably 200 plus franchises. Our franchise owners are the who's who of Cleveland. You'd be surprised how many folks, I always tell everyone how many folks we know who have cleaned in the past or are cleaning, you know, school teachers, police officers. You know, it's a great way of making extra money. We get a bad rap in our industry a lot because of the bad apples. The barriers to entry are few, so anyone can go to Home Depot and start a cleaning company and go to Kinko's, you got a business card. And the nice thing about our system is that we just sort of flip the script on the traditional cleaning company. And the first thing we do is just hire very capable individuals to sort of, you're not going to get rid of issues. You know, and a lot of people think our business is easy. I'll go into a car dealership and they'll think our business is easy. I'm like, well, how easy is this business? You know, sell a couple, you know, lemons and, you know, you learn and, you know, and I look at a dealership and I'm like, you know, that service, 200,000 square foot service bay you have out there, you built that when you built the facility, which means you built the body shop, the service shop, knowing as soon as you sold the car, they were coming back. There were going to be issues. I'll go into a daycare. I'm like, how hard is this? You know, wipe a couple runny noses, give some medicine. This isn't a tough business. You know, they'll look at you like you're crazy, and I'll say, exactly, this is what I do, a very difficult business, to put all the pieces and parts together. We're after hours. We are driving at the wee hours of the morning. That's not easy. 80% of my franchise owners work full-time. We have 2 college professors, doctors, lots of professionals. Here with me, raise your hand, JamPro franchise owners. All right, higher, please, a little higher, a little higher. We're proud of that. All right, we have some franchise owners here. Ricky is actually a Warrensville Heights grad, so I want him to come. And we all know the power of partnerships, and Stacy's husband is a Warrensville Heights grad, which I played basketball against in high school, and we sort of catch amnesia in terms of who, you know, got the best of the other, but I'm sure it was me. And then Deontay. These folks own their own JamPro franchise, both of them, and as well as Deontay. We probably have 500 plus customers we service every night. Both of these folks were probably servicing, you know, 10 to 15 customers working full time during the day before both of them recently quit their full-time jobs. And we're very proud of that, my wife and I, because my wife used to be the director of financial aid for the Cleveland Institute of Art. And so she was used to working with students. I was always used to, you know, working with folks trying to fulfill their dreams, be it buy their first house or advertise, et cetera. And so the joy we get from watching folks really block and tackle in our business is just beyond words. But that's what makes our system work. Now, JamPro has some built-in systems that help. We're the only cleaning company in the world with a 24-hour money-back guarantee. If you didn't like what I did last night, don't cut a check. Domino's doesn't do that anymore, so I don't need any applause. I know how hard that is to put on the table. If you own your own cleaning company, I tell our folks all the time, you know, don't underestimate what kind of job we are doing on a nightly basis. Every single one of our customers, every single month, fills out a survey on our service. This is commercial cleaning, y'all, all right? And we ask them to rate our service on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest. And for the last 10 years, the lowest average rating for our entire office has been 9.16, all right? Try and duplicate. I couldn't do that on my own, which is what, you know, a lot of my friends from banking, when I was going in my own business, I reached out to a couple of friends, and I remember I put Tim Misney, We Make 'Em Pay, on television for the first time. I apologize, all right? You know, but anyway, I remember visiting Tim, and my wife and I went to a party at his house that he calls Misneyland. And he bought the old Figgy estate in Kirtland. So anyway, I'm like, Tim, I'm getting ready to go out on my own. He's like, what are you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna go with Jam Pro. And he's like, T, you know too many people, man. Do your own thing. You can clean this place. I was like, I'm looking to do a little better than own a cleaning company. I describe Jam Pro as a full-service communications company because that's what we do very well. We're 24 hours. We are a network of very capable franchise owners. Probably 50% of our folks have advanced degrees, and you merge that in with a great back office system. We take care of all their sales, all their operations, anything marketing related, anything you can think of. If it's going to help them take care of that client tonight, is what we do for our franchise owners. Our numbers, because we're a franchise system, are public. We're registered with the Federal Trade Commission. And so anytime we speak, we're encouraged to talk about those numbers. And so I can say since we moved to Warrensville 5 years ago, we probably put about $15 million into the local economy. All right, yes, that's a clapping point, guys. All right. And the reason why I talk about the numbers now, where for years I didn't, one of the things I learned, at bank, stay low key, be conservative, and then 2008 hit. And I saw franchise owners lose their job, customers go bankrupt. It's a great business for us. It was one of our best years because a lot of those folks who were losing their job were calling us to get some extra income. A lot of companies were losing their little mom and pop cleaning company because they had to go back to work or they were losing their house, and so they were able to call us. And so we really took off during that time, but it was difficult for us just watching and looking at the faces and seeing how money and divorce affected our business, and it brought in a real human element to it. And I speak often, and I apologized around 2009 to the Christian Business League because we had been around Cleveland at that time, several years, and we were too far under the radar. Our franchise owners and our customers deserve better from me. It was a teaching moment for me where we should celebrate the fact that folks can, on their own terms, quit their full-time jobs, become small business owners, and something that many of us, including me, just grow up thinking about. And many employees, we do good poaching employees, so don't put good folks around me too long, because we always have a spot for good people. And when we look at the landscape, customer service, relationships, and most importantly, the hard work element is just something you can't fake. I mean, you just can't fake it. And I consider, mayors, these are business owners. They will say more than they did before they became mayor, that, or now more than before, is that this is a business. And it takes all pieces, all parts, celebrating our successes. We're going to have an award ceremony this year at Jam Pro, and we were doing it for a while, probably before these folks. They're like, we ain't heard of any award ceremony, but we're going to reinstitute it. We were doing it for a while in our first few years when we had 30 franchise owners, 40, 50, and we would get 20 to 30 coming out, and we'd rent out one of our facilities that we cleaned and have a good time. Bowling alleys, all that good stuff. Then we realized that our franchise owners clean at night. They work during the day. They have employees. They have spouses and significant others and kids. And putting one day of pressure on them where they have to come out and hang out with fellow JanPro owners, which we thought was, a pretty cool deal. It was a burden for them, all right? But since 2009, we're going to force it. We're going to try and force that issue again because it's very important for people to look to the left and right and see people in the trenches with them. And I know people appreciate that in and out of business. And what sparked that is we realized this year we have about 3 or 4 franchise owners who have grossed over $1 million just quietly, part-time job. And even internally, we didn't say anything. And then you see events like Boston and events like Sandy Hook, and you're realizing tomorrow isn't promised. We have to celebrate today. And so my journey, as well as what we are looking to accomplish, is to both be a beacon here in Warrensville. We've relocated here. The good side about the economy was real estate was pretty cheap. So we moved from Mayfield and we were able to double our size and take advantage of our own building with a business that was going out of business. And so since then, we've changed our attitude as well. And we want folks to know we're here. We want folks to know that you have relatives, friends, family who, and it might not be JanPro, but can do something besides worry about things, can do something besides stress. You can literally do some quick research and you'll find a ton of great opportunities, be it employment and or franchising, and we don't talk any other besides JanPro because we think it's the best. At the end of the day, you can see any one of our franchise owners. Raise your hands, guys. We're trying to sell franchises. All right, thank you. All right, we've already rehearsed, and we have a lot of franchise owners who try and stay under the radar, and they now can attest. The more franchises we have, the better you do. We started our Toledo market last year, and 2 months ago we started the Akron market, and I'm talking to our first Toledo franchise owner was the executive vice president, Fifth Third Bank Community Banking, Linda Ewing, and she hosted a nice event. Ricky, as well as myself, attended last week, and she invited her former employers and colleagues and friends, and had it at a nice private country club. And she's like, Terrell, I'm ready to get going. I quit my job and I'm ready to get going. And I said, Linda, we need more franchise owners. She was like, no, I've got enough staff. Trust me. She's already cleaning probably 20 properties and grossing, very good money. And I said, when there's a McDonald's that opens up in China, the McDonald's in Cleveland has increased their equity. They're doing better. That's more people who have gotten turned on to the brand, more people who have witnessed a product that they might be familiar with should they come to Disneyland or travel to Cleveland. And we're no different. The more people we have on the street, the better I can take care of you. And she realized that about a month in, because she was doing so well with a car dealership. 3 months later, she was cleaning 5 more. And car dealerships aren't easy cleans, takes a lot of money, investment for equipment and all that other good stuff. And now she's my biggest, she held a luncheon for me to come and talk about franchising, because she now realizes she needs some kindred spirits, around her. And so all we're trying to do is be that in general, and we're always available. I know Carl said that he always sees my car. He's like, I don't know if that's your wife's car or if that's your car I see in the parking lot. I was like, you can stop by anytime. Our doors are always open, and we appreciate your attention today, as well as all the support. One of our customers, the YMCA, is back there. How's the YMCA look today? It's all right, good. All right. It's an understatement, I know better. All right. You know, even our customers can't fool us. We know exactly how we're doing. Appreciate your time.